In a world where change is the only constant, Mo Shamil stands at the forefront, guiding title professionals to not just grow their businesses, but to master the art of innovation. With every episode, you're handed the keys to unlock unparalleled growth and stay ahead of the curve. Get ready for a transformative journey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Title Agents Podcast. I am your host, Mo Shamil, CEO of Alltech National Title. And today I have a pleasure to be joined by Hoyt Mann, co-founder of AI. A company that's changing the way title professionals work through smart automation and AI. Hoyt got deep roots in the industry and a big vision for how technology can elevate the client experience, streamline communication, and help agencies grow. If you'd be curious about how AI fits in the future of title, this episode is for you. Welcome, Hoyt.
Hey, Mo, thank you for having me. Yes, doing very well. Yes.
We always start the show with give us your story, your background, how you get into the AI title in this industry.
Man, I'm a technology nerd. Proud and true. I started in the technology industry about three decades ago. So I've been through technology, these technology revolutions now. This is probably about the third one that I'm working through now. Again, lifelong technology nerd, and getting in the title industry was by accident, by need. And I think that's where most people find themselves, which is you're either tricked into title or you're born into title. And I was tricked. I was tricked in to title and got lucky to work with Randall Nelson, the founder of RamQuest, back in the day, and started as a coder at RamQuest, backing up Randall. There was only one coder when I joined, that was Randall, and then I was the second guy. So software developer by trade, and here we are.
So what inspired you to launch AI, and what problem will you see in the industry that you needed solving?
Yeah, when we were at RamQuest, the communication was a huge issue. So I launched Paperless Closer, which is a RamQuest product back in 2000, in the early 2000s. And so launching that was this very revolutionary way to communicate with RamQuest, or for RamQuest customers to communicate with their partners and anybody outside the title company. So we were solving this problem using a web portal. Again, in 2000, web portals were not a thing. And so we were able to win an award at RamQuest. And again, Randall is authoring, architecting a lot of these type of solutions. And so it was really great to see how a web portal could actually impact the communication cycle that was happening in the title closings. And again, that was in the early 2000s. So yeah, it's great to see how everything has evolved, but also how things have not really changed. So, the technology around title has been evolving, and we all know title adopts technology at a slower pace than other industries.
I think the whole industry, I think the mortgage industry drives it, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so too. And but the thing I see is that even with the mortgage industry and the way they adopt technology, when it comes to these different industries talking between each other, there is a huge gap in once it comes to a certain point in the process. I think these companies just this is not my problem, and therefore they don't put technology to solve these issues that currently exist. And so it's left to the title industry to come up with these technologies and handle some of the shortcomings that might exist in those interactions.
You've been in this industry for a long time. How has your perspective on title business evolved over the years?
Yeah, coming back to solving a problem of communication, and that's really where a lot of this roots started in 2000. I was thinking about it, 2019 is when we kicked the company off. But the evolution of title companies is everybody's on a different curve when it comes to adopting technology. So as we were coming out with this concept of an AI chatbot, AI powered chat, especially via text message. Yes. Well, before ChatGPT, it was this automation of conversations via text messaging. And it was so new that there was a few people that would jump on it, but a lot of people, they go back to where they're comfortable, which is most title companies have these comfortable relationships built, and their whole company is built on those relationships. And Mo, you know all about this, right? Is that strong relationships drive business. And yeah, and most people are like, I don't want technology in my relationship. It's a human relationship that we have, not a technology. I don't want to have a relationship with a AI bot. Most people don't. They want to talk to Mo when they call up. Like, I know this guy is going to take care of me, and I love that relationship. And it's slowly convincing the title industry that technology is not here to replace the relationships. Technology is here to enhance the relationships.
Amen.
So, yeah, if you talk to any accountant that was going from basically a paper-based accounting system back in the 80s or coming into the 90s, and tell them that spreadsheets were going to be how they do business, they would look at you cross-eyed. They're like, no, I have my ledger books, I have all the paper processes that I use. Now everybody would just be like, that's silly to even think about doing anything by hand or via paper. So yeah, so
the mistake, I think the mistake a lot of people make in our industry is as you said, they're afraid of losing that relationship. But all you do is enhancing it. Like you're having a human touch, but you can add 2 or 3 automated touches. Actually, the consumer, the customer, the client can actually appreciate that. They think you're talking to them that many times, or you just automate. You're just making it better.
Exactly. And the part that, I'm coming to understand, and again, there's a heavy psychology component to what we all do, but it's separating out the difference between connection and transferring of information. The connection that we have between humans is, I pick up the phone or we jump on this call today. We're communicating, we're connecting. I'm not just transferring you information, but if I send you a text message or a LinkedIn message, there's no emotion, there's no feeling, there's no warmth. It's just words, and the same thing in all of our emails and we try to use emojis to communicate emotion, but the truth is there's nothing that beats what we're doing here. And in technology, it's about transferring of information, even if it's messaging or communications. It's just transferring that information. This still needs to happen. The human component is so critically important. And I think that people blended the two together, and we've come so fast, so quick, that they think text messaging can replace a phone call. It can't. But there's 2 components that a phone call has, which is data and the emotion. So the phone call still needs to happen, but the text message can make the phone call a little bit more enjoyable.
So what have been the biggest challenges and wins in getting companies to adopt AI tools like Alana?
Yeah, it's changing the mindset, changing the thought process. And it's really, at this point, it's been a lot of fighting fear. People are fearful of change just in general. I don't care what it is, changing in the way, construction happens and you have to change your way that you drive. I mean, it creates stress, creates anxiety. And yeah, it's managing that stress, managing that change is what I see a lot of people working through. And some people take that change head on, and other people, again, are fearful of that technology. And so there's a long laundry list of reasons why people are fear the change. Am I going to lose my job? Is my value going to be less important? All these things. And the opposite is normally the case. It's going to enhance what you do. It's going to help you to do things better and faster. And again, with more quality. I think that's where we have to look at it. It's not, can I do more, but it's a quality of effort that I'm putting. Do I have time for a conversation with friends versus I'm so slammed I can't.
Can you share a story or an example of a title company that saw a major transformation after implementing Alana?
Yeah. We have a customer up in Oklahoma, and you think about Oklahoma as not a tech forward state, in the U.S. And I was very also reserved to think, okay, will this title company in Oklahoma be successful? And they were hugely successful because, again, the separation of the transferring of data versus relationship building is so critically important. So this title company has done things like, they have buyer cost estimates and seller net sheets that they can deliver via Lana, and therefore that means that the realtor is standing in the house and can get those estimates via text message, and be able to hand those to their buyer seller right there on the spot. And so these are powerful tools that happen 24/7 that otherwise, that it would be a phone call or it'd be an email, and there would be delay, and it would reduce the level of service. Now, that information, you don't have to have a lot of touch point there. That realtor just needs it now. There's no niceties about it. It's just, I need this information. And so that they're doing almost 1,000 of those requests a month. And so that means that's 1,000 emails or 1,000 phone calls that they're not getting. Those are all happening through
efficiency.
AI. Yeah. Very much. And so that has been successful. The other operation success component is their new order entry, is that they took a team down from 4 people doing all they were doing all day, every day, new order entry. And now they've trimmed that team down to 2 and have repurposed the other 2 to do other functions within the company. And so
elevate that.
That's right. And the other side is that, in our industry, there's churn, right? There's people that come in, there's people that go out, especially in a data entry role. What this gives title companies is ability to not have to go to find somebody to fill that role. It's like, wait, technology is filling that role. And now, the natural ebb and flow doesn't necessarily, impact the operations as much as it once did.
What's the next big frontier in title that you think agencies should be prepared for? I think personally, I think AI is going to play a bigger and bigger role. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, there's these, everybody has their own technology stack, right? They got their production system, and they got, these different ways to do things. I think one of the big challenges is to analyze how you do business, and to be open to changing the way you do business, and being truthful about that. So truly there's a gradual change that's happening, and the change is analyzing, if this is the way we've always done it, then challenging what that really means. Does that mean that there's a better way? Can there be a better way to do that or not? And I think that when I walk into a title company and I watch and I say, just show me what you do, just work as you would if I wasn't even here. And I see I see things happening. I'm like, well, why do you do that? Oh, that's the way we do it. This is what we do. And I'm like, wait, so let me get this right. You print out all these documents, and then you pull these documents out, and then you put in other sheets between these documents, and then you go back to the scanner and you scan all these documents in, and then you take the documents out of the feeder and you pull out all these sheets and you throw all that paper away, and now you have one big PDF, and and I'm just like, wait, why? It's like, oh, well, that's how we do this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yeah, technology can help in the smallest of ways that will have a huge impact on, consumables, just operation cost. It's like, why do you need so much paper in your office? Well, these are all the things we print out. We print this stuff out, we pass it, and it's like, wait, what are you doing? And but people are comfortable doing the thing they did for the past decade or two. And it's until you take a minute and stop and go, is there a better way? And can I take technology and solve it? So, Mo, to answer your question directly, there's the new technology is here. It's how do you apply the new technology?
Exactly that. Ship has sailed. You did jump on or even just behind. I
Yes.
remember like 14, 15 years ago when we went paperless, and that big resistance. And the best way that I kind of fought it and combat it was literally no more ordering the file folders. So we kept
Yeah.
recycling the file folders. Eventually they wore off. Then
Yeah.
then you had no way but to go paperless because you have nowhere to put them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for any change, there has to be a meaningful disruption in your current behavior. And like you said, when there's no file folders, yeah, here you go.
nowhere to put a paper. So let's dig into automation. What are some everyday tasks title agents are still doing manually that could easily be automated today?
Yeah. So, where Alana started was communications. And so there's other solutions in the marketplace where, as your workflow is executed, you're sending out communications via text and email. And that's great. But there's more to it than that. The concept of having an intelligent assistant be able to respond to questions. And that's been our claim to fame, since 2019. It's like,
how does that work?
What happens when somebody has a question? Yeah. And so as in a text messaging conversation, so a realtor or even a buyer or seller, has a question of where's my closing, and or I need my 1099. We're in tax season, right? I need a copy of my 1099. There's title companies that have done tens of thousands of orders through 2024, and now there's these questions. And for Alana to be able to go, yeah, here it is.
So automatically the bot automatically pulls that documents from the file. That's amazing.
That's right. Yeah. And that reduces a phone call, reduces the email. And that one powerful use case is something that title agents are able to leverage today. Because here's the thing, Mo, you and I know the power of technology, right? We know that AI is doing amazing things. But there's a limit. And the limit is really access and context. So ChatGPT can't do anything with your title production system data unless you're feeding it into it, which is not recommended. Yeah, I'm going to qualify that.
Open to public, yeah. That'd be open to the public, which is not good. Yeah,
it'll be open to the public. Yes, nobody should do that. But that's really the limitation. So when we look at the use cases for AI, we see all the power in sales and marketing, but operations really falls flat. And so yeah, that's a big limiting factor.
What has been your approach to lead in innovation in the industry that's traditionally paper heavy and process driven, or killer process driven, like so many?
Yeah, it's really, to me, fear is just, is basically you take the teeth out of fear when you address it with education. When people are more educated and they really understand what the problem with either the risks are or the different scenarios there, to me that is that's the point of a good solution is educating to reduce that fear and to open it up to exploring and to be curious about how can this solve some of the issues that we have. So it's a big deal to let your guard down and be open to a new way to do things.
So what excites you most about where the industry is heading over the next 5 years?
Yeah. I think that I think the data analytics makes me the most excited. There's it's funny, this concept of you don't know what you don't know, but the reason is that we haven't had space to understand some of that upper end of knowledge, or it might be limited or siloed data. There might be a number of reasons why, but when we can unlock some of that power of the data that you have, and to create actionable, steps for that data that you have and look at it in a different way, I think it's going to be huge. It's going to be very powerful for title companies and title owners. So I think that is the next step, and it's one that's gated right now. People aren't even thinking about. I mean, if you're like, how do you run your business? And you're like, oh, I pull this spreadsheet and this spreadsheet, I mix them all together. I try to create some trend analysis. And next thing you know, you're doing these advanced, spreadsheet, formulas and coming up with this special. And again, you're spending hours and hours to do this. And that's on a monthly basis. It's like harnessing the power of, AI to do some of that work, to me, is the next frontier. Because once you unlock these answers, you're like, oh, this is telling me something new, something I need to do.
Larry, it's one thing we discussed in our strategy meeting for the year. Like, how do we kind of the data analytics? I haven't touched on it yet. Hopefully, it's my goal for second quarter. It's literally how do you exact same thing? How can we kind of learn and hopefully make some kind of educated guesses and prediction, like in the short term, long term, and how can you kind of leverage that to actually help our clients, our customers, and our team. And I truly believe that it's just, we haven't touched the surface yet. So I'm getting excited to start digging deeper into it, and we'll share ideas once I start working on it.
Yeah, we're a product company, and so our concept is, how do we create products and bring those to the title industry to help them to help the title industry do their business in a better, more efficient manner. But once you can only create so much efficiency, right, Mo? You can only squeeze so much out of this lemon, and at the end of it, there's nothing left to squeeze. And so in my mind, there's no process left to automate at some point. And you guys might even be at that point where full automation, full paperless, and you're like, okay, where do we go from here? And that's where I think is the exciting space that AI can help out with, is exactly what you're talking about. Being able to create those analytics and do the future casting and predictive analysis.
So for the title pros listening who are still on the fence about AI, what's one misconception you'd love to clear up?
Yeah. I think the misconception of that that AI is going to take your job. I think that, to me, if there's one message I want everybody to know, is that AI will not take your job. I believe in this concept of human in the loop. So again, just spreadsheets did not take anybody's jobs. We still have them today. They've been around for 30 years or plus. And I'm sure there was accountants worried that spreadsheets were going to take their job. And so I would say,
I'd say that you're not going to lose your job to AI, but you will lose your job to somebody using AI.
I hear a lot of people say that, and that makes a lot of sense, and especially in, like I said, sales and marketing roles, that in content creation
content.
roles.
It's incredible. Like, it creates so much. It took so much friction out of it.
It did. What I've found is that if you lean into AI and you say 15 minutes a day, I'm going to learn something new, whether it's through AI or about a different solution, and you do that for a month, 15 minutes a day for a month, you are going to be so much further along than you were before you started. It's a personal thing that I do, is that a great part about AI is that you ask a question, and not only gives you an answer, but it asks follow-up questions, and you can drill into a topic a little deeper. And so as I'm looking at different things, I'm learning more and more. I've learned more, I feel like, in the last year or so using AI, just general topics, than I have, in the past 10 years, for the sake that it really encourages a broader understanding of the topics that you're talking about. And to me, that's what we got to keep doing as humans, is you got to know more,
I don't know if you heard, but Jeff Bezos, the Amazon founder and chairman of the board, he's like, literally, he publicly claims he's going to spend 80 to 90% of his time on AI from here on. That tells you that one of the most brilliant business minds of this century, last decades or 100 years, an incredible human being, an incredible entrepreneur who's saying he's been spending 80-90% of his time on AI. So it tells you.
Well, so here's the fear not only exists in our business, but that fear is really across generations. And so I have a daughter in college. She's a senior in college. She's working on her thesis and looking toward graduate school. And in her process, I talk about her a lot, but in her process, I talk about it. I encourage her. How can you use AI to help you? How can you use AI to not do your work for you, but to make more efficient use of your time while you're working? So
co-pilots, like co-thinking.
Exactly that co-pilot, and that's what So she's fearful that, hey, look, I can't have my thesis being written by AI. I want it to be mine. I want to come up with the thought process. I don't want to be influenced by AI in her process, and I respect that. I want that original thinking, especially in college, is super important. She has to go through all those processes. But what I encourage her, I'm like, find areas to where AI can help you, whether it be searching for articles that you need to read, or doing something for you. And she raised the same issue that actually exists in the title industry, which is there's research that's gated. There's databases that she has to look through to find articles that are not accessible by outside AI sources. So that's the same situation that we just talked about. TPS. If your TPS doesn't have, there's no way for AI to look at it, then AI can't understand your business and can't give you data, about your business. And so,
are you working with all title production softwares, or are you still like no Qualia, I guess?
Yeah, unfortunately, not Qualia. I think they have their own vision about what AI means in their world.
They don't play nice,
right? But we're Qualia partners, so we actually we integrate with Resware, we integrate with RamQuest, and we integrate with SoftPro and Settler as well. So those 4 title production systems are ones that we have deep integrations with, and and it's currently our integration partners. Well, I should say integration platforms. We're partnered with Qualia.
So how do you keep your team aligned with both innovation and the needs of the industry?
Yeah. So my co-founder, Randall Nelson, Randall handles really the architecture of the application. He handles all the software. Basically, he's the product manager as well as the leader of all the technical aspects. So he aligns the products along with, from my side, it's operations, sales, and marketing. So it's a joint. We both work together and have very distinct roles. So it's great having. That's why I'm co-founder. I'm not absolutely founder because I feel like a great team has some all-stars part of that team, and it's never one person.
So how do you stay close to the pain points of your users and customers to adapt the product to meet those evolving needs?
Yeah, man, Mo, that is I think that's the golden question for software companies. And what we did at RamQuest and what we did with the next software company after RamQuest and what we're doing now, it's always listening to the customer and staying really close and talking to the customer. And if you're willing to listen, customers will tell you what's going on. And they'll tell you the challenges. They'll tell you why your product's not working the way they expect it to work, or they need it to work. And if you listen to them, you can build something that's great. And that's a core philosophy here at Alana, is interacting with our customers. That's how we stay connected, is through our customer partnerships. And
So as we are coming close to the end of our conversation of final signature questions, I always ask my guests, do you have a favorite quote?
Yeah, my favorite quote is "Do hard things."
Love it.
That's our family mantra. Great. And that's my personal quote.
And do you have a favorite book or favorite book you read recently to share with the audience?
Well, my favorite book is Good to Great. that's a core book. The current book I'm reading right now is a Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. It's a great book. I would suggest every leader read it, because in today's world, staying transparent and vulnerable in a leadership position is so key. So we've always talked about emotional intelligence, but there's more intelligence beyond emotional intelligence. So I'm an avid reader, and I like to continue to apply what I read to my daily activities.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Hoyt, for it was tons of insight. I truly appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you, Mo. I appreciate the invite and glad we were able to do it.
Well, thanks again to Hoyt Mann for joining us and sharing a behind-the-scenes look at how Lana.ai is transforming title operations. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe and share with your fellow title pros. And please give us a 5-star review. That would mean a lot. And as always, thank you for listening to the Title Agent Podcast. Till next time.
In a world where change is the only constant, Mo Shamil stands at the forefront, guiding title professionals to not just grow their businesses, but to master the art of innovation. With every episode, you're handed the keys to unlock unparalleled growth and stay ahead of the curve. Get ready for a transformative journey